What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are back with another All-22 video, and today we're going to be diving into this Lions-Broncos 42-17 win on primetime against Sean Payton, getting the 10 wins on the season, and now we are one away from wrapping up this division with 3 games to go, and of course, it's against Minnesota, so we can do it in Minnesota, lock up the division. I mean, you couldn't ask for anything more than that. It's an excellent opportunity. I mean, really, the NFC North went about as well as it could. Everybody in the North lost except for us. However, the Chicago one didn't really matter. Green Bay just kind of knocked them out of the divisional race, so now it's just that simple. Win a game, you win the division. Right now, though, of course, there's a scenario where it's like, hey, well, you know, if Minnesota loses to Green Bay, we win the division anyway. That's understandable, but just win a game. But today, we're going to be diving into both sides of the ball, offense and defense. Now, we did a little show earlier today on Bleacher Report. I think that's worth checking out because there were certain things that I'm going to talk about in today's video that we talked about maybe even more in that live stream. The replay is available right now. About the Lions finding answers. And when I say that, okay, I want to make this clear. We've talked about this for the last few weeks, and I've said it. There's clarity to the defense. You guys have heard that word a lot. Clarity to what our issues are defensively. Now, the reality is most teams in the league have issues that they have to hide, they have to figure out, things from being exposed. Most teams have some sort of issues that they have to cover up. There isn't a lot of perfect teams in the NFL. San Francisco may be the closest, but we've seen them lose 3 games in a row when they had some injuries. So every team pretty much has things that they want to hide offensively, defensively, maybe it's special teams. And for the Lions, we've talked about a lot of those things specifically on the defensive side of the ball. And what the Lions have done, we went through the free agent signings, the Kendall Vilders, the Tyson Alualu, who we have not seen yet. We went through the Bruce Irvins and the additions, and they were very clear cut. It was very easy to understand why I did that. Okay, Kendall Vilder, yeah, we need help on the outside. You had a veteran cornerback, and I'm so glad, by the way, for just letting Khalil Dorsey play, man. Seriously, I just want to see this guy play. He wasn't perfect, but my goodness, this guy earned it, man. He earned that back in preseason. If they were going to get a look at somebody, I'm glad they gave him a look. He didn't play bad. He did not play bad at all, but I'm just glad they gave him some snaps. That was beautiful to see. Also, Kendall Vilder put a really strong game, I thought, out there. Specifically, last week, we looked at him and said, man, he played pretty well, right? He gave up the reception more, but he was contested. He contested everything. He tackled. The biggest issue with Kendall Vilder was specifically the aspect of he just had a couple little breakdowns. Like, they weren't on the same page, but it was also his first game with. There's still things that I'll question. Like, I don't love that Aaron Glenn's doing this, but one thing that we know, and it's very clear, he trusts his players. Whether that's Aiden Hutchinson last week, right, where Aaron Glenn tells us, man, that was a call that he made to run that little game up front. They slide their offensive line. We get stuck. Justin Fields takes off and runs into the end zone. He has the highest level of confidence in his players. Sometimes you could say, well, that's to a fault, but at the same time, that's just the truth of it. He trusts his guys to go make the plays, and you see that from every level defensively. And when that is the case, when you're asking, hey, your number 2 cornerback's going to play their number 1 receiver, but we're not going to put help directly over top. When you're asking those guys to just handle business, to communicate defensively, either they got to do it or you're going to have to change it up. But he's leaned into trusting those guys. But what the Lions, I think, showed us in this game, right? It wasn't a perfect game. We're going to show some good, show some bad. What they showed us was getting back to their identity, specifically. What are they capable of? This game is what the Lions were capable of, meaning that there's issues defensively, right? It's not the perfect defense. You're not going to look at this team and be like, man, they just turned into the best secondary I've ever seen in football. Man, Deion Sanders just arrived in his prime, and it's like, wow, they look great. That's not what this is. But what this is a team that Aaron Glenn has trust in all of those guys out there, which has helped him. We're going to show some plays because of that, a lot of secondary flexibility, right? You have multiple guys that can play different safety spots, that can play slot, that can roll around. If he's versatility, they trust him to play in man, even if it doesn't always work. They trust the flexibility. So now everybody is moving, get a lot of moving parts. Tied along with the edge defenders, you trust Bruce Irvin to drop underneath. You trust Aiden Hutchinson to do that as well, like he did multiple times in this game, which opens up the linebackers to rush on the play. Doesn't even have to be a blitz. You could just rush a linebacker, drop out an edge, try to get more free rusher looks. So you have that trust. But also defensively, what you have is a team that about for the last year and a half has been very good at stopping the run. All right. And even last week, I understand the stats didn't look ideal, right? It wasn't like Lions were dominant against run statistically, but what they were, and we went through the All-22, is, man, they were stopping the designed runs of Justin Fields. He had one on the opening drive that was successful. Outside of that, there was very little success from Justin Fields on designed rushing plays. Just a few weeks later after playing him the first time, and he had a lot of success. This is a guy that had given us a lot of problems, and all of a sudden, last time we see him, the stats look good, but they were on scrambles. They were not on designed runs for the most part. And now again, the Lions go out there, hold a team that's bread and butter is we want to run the football. We want to get shot plays. They have essentially no shot plays outside of Alex Ancelotti's PI, and they can't run the football at all. 3 yards per carry. You guys remember that sign that they had in the locker room that said, earn the right to rush the passer? When I think of the Lions defense, what they're capable of, when they're playing at their best, right? When they're like, man, this is the Lions, man. This is what they can be defensively. I think of that. Forcing teams out of what they want to do, which most teams like to play through the run game. Every team is better when they have a run game, by earning the right to rush the passer, meaning stopping the run with allow Ali McNeil, I may add. Stopping the run, statistically this season, or top 10 in pretty much every category against the run. And then defensively being opportunistic, which really hasn't come along a ton yet. We did have a forced fumble into this game by Iffy, which we're going to show. It's the first play we're going to show. And we won the turnover battle, which has essentially been their bread and butter defensively, but you didn't turn the ball over. So now again, you win the game by winning the turnover battle. That helps a ton. But also on top of that, defensively, it's a team that's flexible in the back end, right? Because now they have the veterans back there. They have guys that they can trust to roll into different positions. And as that continues to pick up, you're seeing the game kind of open up for them. So if you could stop the run, you have versatility in the back end. That to me is what I think of when I think about the Lions. Think about their cornerback position versus this year versus last year. Just what they put out there. Kendall Vilder, veteran. Cam Sutton, veteran. Brian Branch, understand he's rookie, but he's a legit slot. He plays like a veteran that we were trying to kind of search for these last few years. Okay, safety position. What do you have? CD Deuce coming back. Tracy Walker, throw him in the mix. Iffy, he's playing his butt off against the run and in coverage. Also, Kirby Joseph now. You have guys that you trust in the back end and just be where they're supposed to be. And I think that's what's opening up what the defense is capable of. And then offensively, you dominate teams that you're supposed to. You dominate on the offensive line. They were dominant on the offensive line. Run blocking and pass protection. I mean, there were things that popped up. For the most part, they dominated on the front. So let's not talk anymore. Let's dive into this. I want to show some clips, and we'll kind of talk about different things as we go through this. But I want to start off with the play.
The first thing that I want to say about the safety position, because we're going to talk about it a lot here, is this. One thing that the Lions have more defined roles on since Iffy has really taken over for Tracy Walker these last 2 weeks is Kirby Joseph playing the free safety, playing center fielder, being that free safety ball hawk in the back end. Kirby's ability to play in man opened up a lot of flexibility throughout the season, but trusting Iffy to roll down, play your tight end, play your back, play your receivers if they ask man coverage, I think that was one of the areas where they didn't love Tracy Walker. No, even though Iffy hasn't been perfect there, it has made his role, I think, more decisive as, hey, let's get back to let him being the ball hawk in the back end. That way we can get some more of those opportunistic turnovers that he's capable of creating. He almost had one in this game. He just dropped it.
I thought blitzing on early downs defensively, right, to get this team off schedule, take away those shot plays, try to get them behind the chains. And what do we get at the very beginning of the game? And this was massive because one thing that hurt us offensively is we started off slow, but at the same time, look what that's the 20-yard line. This team leads to begin this game. If this doesn't happen, at least they're getting walking out of here with a field goal. All of a sudden, Aaron Glenn dials it up, and this is what the Lions do defensively. So as you notice here, Iffy, he's working down into the box. Now, what they're giving them defensively is kind of like a cover 3 look. They're going middle field close. So that middle field is showing that it's closed, meaning it's probably cover 3, it's probably cover 1, it's one of those things. But here's what the Lions do. Instead of just dropping out their safety, which we've seen a lot, the Lions are actually going to blitz their safety. They're going to blitz Iffy off the edge. Now, here's where the problem ensues for the offense. This is going to be a play action rollout here for Russell Wilson. Problem with that is this. He's turning his back to the defense, meaning that he's not knowing that this blitz is happening until he turns around and sees it. He's trying to hit the first read that he absolutely can when that pressure is in his face. But what the Lions do defensively is they invert the coverage, all right? You don't see this a ton, but they invert the coverage on a 2nd down and 10, right? Sometimes you might get this on 3rd down when they know you have to throw the ball. They invert it on a 2nd and 10 and bring a safety blitz. This thing is nasty. Meaning this. So when they give you this look, you're thinking one thing as a quarterback. So they bring the safety blitz. Okay, we can still have this little beneath route that they're going to try to run, and that's where he wants to go with the football. But no, that's going to be taken away. Wait, why? Cam Sutton's going to roll to a safety alignment, okay? He's inverting into a deep safety on this play. Kirby Joseph is then going to roll over top. So then they're going to go into a split field look at the snap. So they're going to roll out of it. If he's then going to blitz off the edge, and what that does is it allows Khalil Dorsey in a cover 3 or cover 1, who would normally get pulled out of play. Instead of that, he's just going to be able to sit underneath. He can stay underneath because he's going to get safety up over top because they're rolling their coverage. They're essentially just doing this. Not sure what that does on this play. So here we go. Iffy, by the way, love the way that he attacks the football. He attacks it in your hands, man, as a pass catcher, but also here on this forced fumble, and he just went after the football, which was massive. Now, they did have an open route, but it would have been tough to get it to him. We'll show that one. But here's what you get. So you have 2 inline tight ends here. The inside tight end is going to release vertical on this play. Normally, you know, this may take a cornerback out of the play if this is a cover 3 look, but it doesn't, again, because he can play underneath zone coverage because these safeties are rolling. See how the safeties roll at the snap? So now I got a 2 deep look. So he doesn't have to defensively get vertical on this play. He can just sit underneath. And that's where the route is taken away that Russell Wilson wants to hit. That beneath route is taken away because he's staying in underneath zone coverage. Then if he is unblocked because they're trying to sell the run fake, everybody crashes down. The inside tight end goes vertical. The other inline tight end runs the chip, and then he just kind of settles down underneath. Now that was open because Jack Jack Campbell took off into the flat for whatever reason, he kind of left it open. That's not ideal, but everything else was covered. Alex Anzalone turns and runs. He takes away kind of that second level throw. So, but the key is this one. The first level throw was gone. Now the second level is taken away as well. Kirby over top. Alex Anzalone takes it. Now if he's in his face, he's trying to get to number 3. Now if Jack Campbell sits here, there is nothing open. So I don't love that he takes off on this play. But what really matters is this. He wasn't expecting it. His first look was taken away. Now it's in his face and he has no answer. And then because that was open, it's almost like he tried to kind of like move over and maybe flip it to him or something. But if he attacks the football, forces a fumble, completely flips the game on its head immediately. Now offensively, like I said, the worst aspect of our offense in this game was this. We got off to a slow start last week in the sense of like Chicago. It wasn't like the Lions came out the second half and said, why are we doing this? There's nobody open. There was guys open. We missed some of the throws. And here, 3rd and 4, you missed a pass to Dave Montgomery. Now he had St. Brown open. I didn't hate the read though because Montgomery could have had the first 2. He just missed St. Brown, Montgomery in front of him. Then you come out on your next possession offensively. You have a very manageable 3rd down and 5. And defensively, they do something similar. They give you kind of a disguised look because they get you into the 3rd down look. And what they're going to do is you see how their linebackers out wide with the back. They show, hey, it's man coverage. You see this bunch we got over here? Yeah, we're manning that thing up. This is man coverage, Jared Goff, but it's not. What they're going to do is something that we've seen us do a few times this year, and that is going to roll into a cover 2 and let their outside or their linebacker, their off-ball linebacker, play outside underneath zone coverage, which means that Goff at the snap is going to go into this 3-step drop and immediately look into the flat. He's looking at this high-low, but because it's zone, the linebacker stays underneath and takes it away. So Goff's like, okay, I don't love that. Let me go back middle of the field. Now here's what happens. So this actually just works out very unfortunately. You can see that it feels like he may have felt like a little bit pressure off the backside here, which is to me maybe why he stepped up in the pocket. Also, it kind of looks like DJ Jones is going to win to the inside, right? So he steps up a little bit and fades a little bit to his left. Super unfortunate, you'll see from a better angle is that when DJ Jones makes his moves inside and gets the blown block on Jonah Jackson, and Penei Sewell, you feel something off the backside. When he steps up, he literally steps up into the sack. It's kind of unfortunate timing. The one thing I'll say about this is that with Donovan Peoples-Jones is running this drag and he's open right here where he looks to the quarterback, I would think you'd want him to sit down in coverage, right? I don't know for sure. If they think it's man, I understand, but at the snap, like, there feels like there's got to be a recognition maybe aspect. Like, it looks like man, so I can understand why you ran through it. But it's like, man, I don't know, but like down because you're just running into this underneath linebacker. Now, if he has all day, you hit the corner route here to Sam Laporta if possible. But as you're going to see from the other angle, this is where it kind of just gets really unfortunate really fast. So the 3-step drop, doesn't like the flat, comes back middle of the field trying to stay on time. Feels like a little bit something off his edge, so he tries to slide up in the pocket. DJ Jones also looked like he was winning inside, but then he broke back outside. So now Goff literally stepped into DJ Jones. He's like, oh, snap. He kind of maybe could have tried to flip that to Peoples-Jones. The only thing I'll say about that is winning the turnover battle. This team forces turnovers, and with the turnovers that we've had recently, he's not even going to try it. He's going to hold on that football, protect it, and just take the sack. You hate it because it stops the drive, but in hindsight, it's like, man, that may have been a better thing because now you have a chance to pin him back at very least. Great play by Khalil Dorsey. And this is one of those issues that we talked about. And I love me some Jerry Jacobs, right? So I'm not like, well, I'm giving up on Jerry. We've had some struggles there, right? We've seen it. Now, it hasn't always been the best matchup, and I think, in fairness to Jerry, I would have put safety help over top in some of those 3rd down situations. Saints, Chicago, I would have put a safety over top when he's matched up with Chris Olave or DJ Moore. I would not have left him on an island and went cover 1 robber and said, you know what? You got him one-on-one. I wouldn't have done that. I would have said, no, I'm putting safety over top. That's the guy I'm worried about. Instead, we see Aaron Glenn is willing to blitz, or he'll just roll a safety down, take away the middle of the field. And I understand it, but that's what he's willing to do. And the issue is like, okay, that's fine. You better win. And it's kind of like what we said with pressures, right? It's like, oh my goodness, man, we can't get any pressure. No, we can. You have to force the guy to hold on the football past the first read. And we're not the best pressure team in football, but my goodness, you got to force the quarterback to hold on the football beyond the first read. Well, here, Khalil Dorsey, 1-on-1, body or screen. It's just beautiful coverage. They have the little rat underneath with Alex Anzalone. They got singled up on the bottom here. And Khalil Dorsey just plays it really well. And this is something that he did really well in preseason, why I liked him a ton. You can see that his transition ability to stick in your hip was very fluid. Just like this. Gets in his hip, stays on top of it, reads the eyes, looking back for the football, stays on top of it, and he's able to force an incomplete pass. Kirby actually almost came with a pick there, but it was good coverage. And also, Aiden Hutchinson, speaking of, forces some pressure here right on the right tackle, and you have an incomplete pass. Defensively, I actually posted this on X, and we're going to talk about Iffy a little bit more because I posted a lot of things on X. But here, we're going to get a cover 6 look defensively, and what I loved about this was the route detail specifically from Jamo, right? There's still questions that we have, right? Certain route tree I don't love him in, that I like Donovan Peoples-Jones more, and I'm glad that Peoples-Jones is kind of finding a role. He had another reception in this game. There's certain route tree, and I get it. Long term, you're like, man, we want Jamo to be able to run the full route tree. We want to have him out there all the time. I get it. It makes tons of sense. No question. But I do think there are things right now that Peoples-Jones just has a better body type. He has a better skill set for. But with this being said, this kind of thing to me builds that kind of trust from a Jared Goff, like he's going to be where I'm supposed to be. Because watch this. And to me, this is more about the route than anything. I mean, I expect this from Goff. When Goff has a clean pocket, I expect him to open up guys in the middle of the field. That's what we've seen. It's what I expect of him. And that's exactly what he does. We know who Goff is. This is what he's about. And here you can see when they go into this cover 6 look underneath zone defender, they go quarters on this backside. What that does, it essentially isolates tight end with linebacker. And a lot of times, you've seen it, we try to hit our tight end one-on-one with the linebacker. So Sam Laporta on linebacker, usually Lions love that matchup. Here with Josey Jewell. Now it's taken away, so Goff doesn't have it. That's usually where he tries to go when he gets that singled up look. He doesn't like it. So now he comes back middle of the field. Now, here's the key to me is this. Notice the underneath linebackers, right? Everybody's in zone on this side. You have your deep safety, you have your underneath zone cover corner, and you have 2 underneath linebackers. Now, there is the back running the swing route, which takes some attention from the corner, and it can kind of force them to get a little bit delayed here. But it's specifically this man right here. It's Alex Singleton. Because if you notice with Goff, where are his eyes going? His eyes don't go to Jamison. Looking for Laporta, doesn't like it. Hitches, resets, and now he's not looking at Jamo, he's actually looking at St. Brown. He's looking underneath because St. Brown is going to run kind of this delayed whip route, pulling back underneath. What the key is there is this. Watch Jamison's route. He's running a dig. Instead of running through zone coverage, watch what he does. He sits down in zone coverage. Oh my goodness, I love this. Look, and it's not crazy, but what it does is it allows Goff to do what he does here. It allows Jared Goff on this play, as you can see, to be able to not go there with the football, but able to look back underneath here to St. Brown and hold this linebacker instead of having to watch Jamison and see if, like, oh, is he going to sit down? Do I have to lead it? He's able to trust that Jamo's going to sit. So now he's able to just watch St. Brown, get that linebacker to bite, and then he's immediately able to transition and hit Jamo because he stays right in that quarterback passing lane, stays right in the window to hit him, and I love that. By the way, I just want to say this. I expected our pass pro to be great in this game, especially if they weren't blitzing, because I don't think they created a lot of pressure without the blitz. We said that coming in, but I still want to give credit where credit's due, man. I mean, the pass pro here. I mean, what else could we ask for? That is beautiful, okay? I mean, again, not always perfect, but, man, it was beautiful, and it was good. They dominated that battle, as they should have, and they did. It was great to see. That's who we are. Now, this is also one of the questionable reads that I think we had early in this game. Led to a negative 2-yard play from Goff. This was one of the other questionable ones. They drop into seemingly kind of a Tampa 2 look here defensively, and I understand why he doesn't throw this underneath route here to St. Brown in the play. Then also you have, and again, I love the way that Jamo runs this route, by the way. If you notice Jamo, you can see him here. He's going to push vertical, and he's going to hit this corner route, right? You kind of hit that high-low, but he kind of flattens it out to me. Instead of kind of pushing this into the safety, he reads the safety and starts to kind of flatten his route. He gives himself a target. I mean, maybe if you wanted to push a little bit more vertical to the safety to try to get more room here, I get that, but he did kind of flatten it, and I kind of like that on this play. With that being said, you get a little bit of a lost block here on the interior between Penei Sewell passing it to Graham Glasgow, so all of a sudden Goff kind of gets away from it. What he missed right here was Brock Wright. He missed Brock Wright on the play because they ended up bringing their underneath defender right here. Instead of dropping him out like they did a lot of the game, he rushes, and again, it's Tampa 2, so Josey Jewell is going to open to the receiver side, take away the middle of the field, which means that Brock Wright is uncovered until he hits the safety. So Goff missed this on this play. I don't know if you saw it. I don't know. He just missed it. I don't hate that he threw the swing route. Get the ball out of your hands right here because Laporta, Laporta takes off late here. All of a sudden, he's usually going to be held down by Laporta. It kind of shuts down the play. On the offense, as many things as I'm saying positive about Jamo, and trust me, we have more. This is one of those spots where I thought that he just kind of lost the football. Like he couldn't find the football in the air. And here you got a 3rd and 10 look for the offense. And defensively, you see they're kind of going into kind of a 2-man look a little bit. They almost like have their safety rolled down like a robber, but they kind of go into a 2-man look.
This here, and this seems like a probably game plan specific thing for Denver, knowing that they want to take away the middle of the field. The safeties aren't spreading out over top of the corners, and the corners aren't just pressing and sitting underneath. Instead, you're having the safeties more so sit towards the inside, more towards the hash marks, almost taking away that inside leverage so that the corners can play outside leverage and try to squeeze inside. So it's actually a really good route design because the safeties are trying to take away the inside, the cornerbacks are trying to force inside to have him release inside towards the safety and then break back outside. That way you take the safety out of the play.
Route made a ton of sense, right? It's kind of what we've seen teams do to us. In a way, is that you break inside, right? Goff looks inside, and then you break back outside. You kind of try to take the safety out of the play while also creating leverage. That way you can run under the football and catch it. So you kind of give yourself room to the sideline. Now, for Jameson Williams here, I think a lot of it was fine, right? The pass pro held up big time. It gave Goff time to step up and let that thing go after seeing him get out of his break so he could kind of time it up. The issue I thought on this play was I don't think he was able to find the football. I think that's the issue I see here. I don't think he was able to find the football. When Goff lets this thing go, I see him looking back for the ball, but he's slow. You notice how he slows down. That's not Jameson's top speed. He's slowing down big time on this. He had some questionable tracking ability back in college. I just didn't think he found the football. I think this is a better example of it here. I don't think he was able to find it. You see he's kind of looking back. It doesn't seem like he knows what football is. He's kind of reached out his hands late. He couldn't find it seemingly on that play, and it lead to an incomplete pass. The play was there, though. It made sense. He did a lot of good things in this game. I just thought I would showcase that one. I think that's still an area, one of those areas that he's trying to work. There's a lot of areas that, you know, he's trying to continue to improve and work. Now, defensively, a guy that had a great game, which he's been excellent. I mean, obviously against Chicago, he popped a lot, but he popped again in this one. John Kaminsky. Now, I didn't think it was always ideal when we put Aiden Hutchinson and Kaminsky in a 3 technique or a 2-eye. That didn't work great, but John Kaminsky actually held his own at a 2-eye a few times in this game. Now, this time he's not. 2-eye meaning inside shade of a guard. Here he's in the inside shade of the right tackle on this play, but he handles his business. You see him right here handling business, handling ground against McGlinchey. It allows Aiden Hutchinson to be very disciplined, which he was a lot of this game on the backside, and you limit that run play. I want to point out here is Broderick Martin, right? He's a nose tackle. He gets moved off his spot pretty well. He doesn't seem to get a really good base here. They kind of double team at the point of attack. They kind of push him off the spot. Now, we still shut down this run with Iffy rolling into the box. That was great. But he gets kind of moved off here. But I showed this because he came back and he actually had a pretty good rep a little bit later. So it's still a little bit hit and miss. But with that said, he's getting his snaps. He's getting his work. He gets a little bit moved here by Cushenberry in the left guard. But what you do notice is the run defense here, specifically between a couple of other guys. First off, John Kaminsky and Iffy. Iffy plays this like a linebacker. Truly. We can talk about the coverage, which he's done a really nice job in. He's had a couple instances where he's bit a little bit too hard and he's got beat man coverage, but he's recovered. He's made great plays at the catch point. He's a really good ball hawk. In that sense, he has that cornerback background just glowing. But against the run is where I've been so impressed because we have questions about that in the past, like, oh, what is he going to do against the run? We know Tracy will hit. My goodness, man. Outside of that one missed tackle, he looks excellent. Watch this. He plays this like a linebacker. Watch this. So you're going to see John Kaminsky, right, playing outside of the left tackle here, kind of playing that 7 technique. But watch this here. So John Kaminsky, who's going to peek outside on this play, give up kind of the inside. Watch if he play this like a backer. If he steps down, and he peeks on the outside right here, sees that the running back went inside, and now all of a sudden watch him peek back inside right here, step in, bam, make the tackle. If he played that like a linebacker. Here's where you get some of those subtle, I think, kind of breakdowns in the back end. This thing wasn't terrible. It wasn't like a glaring breakdown. The more glaring breakdown is in man coverage when Cam Sutton and Kirby both covered the same guy, and there was a guy wide open, but because we brought pressure, he didn't have a chance to get there. That one could have been bad. They communicated afterwards. This one I don't think was as bad because what they're doing is on a 3rd and long, they're going cover 3 buzz right on this play with Iffy. We do this a lot. Safety kind of rolls down, just plays more so on the sticks. But here's where I thought the communication kind of broke down. It was between a couple of players. First off, if he rolls down and he recognizes right here, he's buzz, meaning he's playing kind of like the hook curl zone, but he's playing a lot deeper on this play because it's 3rd down. But he usually has this outside underneath zone defender, Alex. But here's where the communication throws off a little bit. So he run this deep crossing route with Cortland Sutton. He recognized it. He sees it here, and he starts to drop towards that. But he doesn't want to leave his zone. You all see the running back sitting underneath. The issue comes to this. Alex Anzalone dives to take away the back. I think Alex was trying to point and just tell everybody, like, man, I'm going to dive underneath, take what's behind me on this play. But if he does not see it when he's recognizing where Cortland Sutton is, also Khalil Dorsey has 2 guys that he has to worry about. So there's a couple things that could have happened, but Alex Anzalone dives on the back. If he doesn't follow, I think he's expecting Alex to kind of sit in that outside underneath zone. He doesn't want to leave his zone.
There's 2 vertical routes, which Alex Anzalone is going to pass off to play the underneath coverage, and then Alex dives down to take the back. Now, all of a sudden, Khalil Dorsey, the only way that he can slide back down and help is if Kirby Joseph shoots over top to take away the receiver on the sideline, but that's completely leaving that center field zone that you would normally play as a cover 3 safety. You notice on the backside, Cam Sutton steps over, takes away the crossing route. So really here, this is one of those instances where I look at a guy like Iffy and say, okay, maybe he should have went out and played beyond his zone and just said, look, Alex is underneath, right? They're taking the crosser on the opposite side. You're looking that direction. You see the crossing route coming across, and you understand that nobody's covering that and that Khalil Dorsey's not stepping down. Just slide over and take it away because you know that's not being covered.
You can legitimately see that the guy's wide open. Just take it away. Once he starts to kind of roll out of the pocket, you see the pressure there. He was probably getting a little fixated on it. All of a sudden, once he starts to roll out of the pocket, then he takes off. But if anything, I would say if you just take this away. However, you can see here from the quarterback position, he's got 2 guys to worry about. Dorsey, he has the outside receiver on this play, but the key is this. If anything, maybe he could have tried to pass it to Kirby and then dive underneath. Kirby didn't really roll over top to take his responsibility. So if anything there, I think if you kind of maybe just say, hey, man, just take it. Because you know he's open, just take that away, right? If you see somebody wide open, you should probably take it away. There's a little bit of hesitancy there, and he ends up getting his big reception. They end up picking up a 1st down on a 3rd and long. It wasn't terrible, but it was a 1st down on a 3rd and long. Now, back to the defense side of the ball, stopping the run here. Broderick Martin, all right? and not all perfect, but here Broderick Martin, see him at a nose tackle. He's at the zero technique here. Watch him get movement on the center. He's getting pushed into the backfield. He's playing behind the line of scrimmage right now, and they force the cutback. Now, I'd also give credit to John Kaminsky holding his ground, and it also kind of trips up Broderick Martin, but it does force the cutback lane. Both those guys handling business. One working on the left guard, the other guy working on two dudes, moving laterally, forcing a cutback lane. And then on the backside, this is just what these guys do at this point. Brian Branch and Iffy. Branch gets the edge. Iffy dives down, makes the tackle. This is just how they play right now, and Iffy's been very fast to play the run, step in. This was kind of a weird one, but that subtle pocket movement I thought made the world of difference here. Here the Lions are in a 3rd and 6 offensively, and you can see coverage-wise they're going into a cover 3 look, it looks like on display. You have your 4 underneath defenders, you have your 3 deep here, and it's by just a tiny bit that this actually works out. You can see initially he looks over here into the flat for Josh Reynolds. That's taken away by the underneath coverage, so he decides to go against that. Now, if he would have stuck there, he may have been able to have it, but he went away from it. It looks like it's opened up. That's more so because the linebacker just drifted away with his eyes. Maybe he could have tried to look it off and fire in there, but he got off the read. That's fine because he had what he wanted. He had a dagger concept right here behind it. You have the deep dig with the vertical route to pull out the safety on the play. So when you run a dagger against this look, you know you're losing the middle field safety. Now you create levels. So it was fine. But I think just a subtle movement just did just enough here with Taylor Decker, because if you notice, right, with this dagger, when he steps up in the pocket, the dig's going to be open behind a linebacker. But at the same time, you can see with that pressure, he just barely, just by a hair on the play, because he stepped up in the pocket and didn't sit back, because there was another time where I feel like he didn't step in the pocket when he should. Here he did. He was able to just get it off to Laporta. Why did this take so long? Laporta fell on the ground. Right, Laporta falling on the ground. Usually, Laporta's going to immediately try to pull this guy out of the play. So Goff can maybe be a little bit more decisive to say, I'm going to let that thing rip.
This is also another one of those examples of just elite timing within the offense. To have Goff hit his back foot looking for his first read, and by the time he comes back to the second read, you have a chip curl to pull the linebacker down on the play, but that ultimately ties in with the dig route. That timing is incredible by Ben Johnson. I mean, can we just give a clap for that? Like, just a clap for the timing. That way, Goff hits his back foot, comes back. Now Laporta will leak out. That way, we can time it up to really pull that linebacker down on the play and not do it instantly. I mean, just the little things. It doesn't work out exactly that way, but it still works out on paper.
But instead, Laporta's on the ground. So now he has to wait because the linebacker keeps getting depth because Laporta's not a threat yet. So by the time Laporta becomes a threat and sits down, just immediately Goff gets it off. I mean, it was by a hair, but it was a good decision by Goff. He usually makes the right decision. That was a good decision right there. Ben Johnson just doing Ben Johnson things. I mean, this was less of it, but this was more about timing to me. It's always been about the route detail. It's always been about the timing offensively. And to me, that's absolutely what this was, right? It looks like they're going into another cover 3 look, and it's always about the small things, the timing. You go to a zone, you go to a counter play action, which means this is going to take a long time to develop. So right here, the linebackers have to commit. They have to believe that it could be a handoff, could be a run, could be a run. By the time you fake that, St. Brown's gone. He's already went beyond the linebacker, so now the slot carries on the play because he's already beyond the linebackers. Then by the time Goff hits his back foot in the play fake, because he's already working towards that linebacker, he drops out. He's taking away this crossing route, which frees up the middle of the field, isolates one-on-one with Josh Reynolds, and Josh Reynolds on Fabian Moreau. I love that matchup, okay? Bam, sit down, back foot, balls out, bam, it's on him, first down, big chunk play. It's always the little details with Ben Johnson. Speaking of this offense, man, this is one of the most beautiful plays I've seen this season, okay? We could point to so many plays with Ben Johnson, like, man, that was amazing. This is one of the best of the season. Watch, oh my, there's so many, like, little things that I love here. I'm fired up to talk about this. Let's watch. So you got a middle field safety. This is PJ Locke. Your other safety is down here. You can see him playing at the flat. Again, another cover 3 look. Watch all the subtleties to this. First thing, Jahmyr Gibbs, that receiver, he's running a jet sweep. So all the eyes are trying to shift. Hey, let's move this way. Worry about the jet sweep. Everybody move. Everybody move. It's in zone coverage too, so everybody's going to flow with it. He's already flows because it's zone coverage. Second team, because you're shifting where the strong side of the formation is at the snap. They have Sam Laporta in line on the right side. They already have a receiver over there. They have St. Brown offset to the right. So now you have a singled up receiver once you bring Jahmyr Gibbs on the fast motion. So all of a sudden you shift the strength of the formation with Jahmyr Gibbs. He's threatening. Second thing, St. Brown's at running back. All right, so your focus still has to be on St. Brown, right? Like, hey, that guy might catch the football. And every time St. Brown's in the backfield, what usually happens? Usually throw to that guy. We could have here, but watch what St. Brown does on this play. So you tie along the fake, everybody's shifting. Now because they're in cover 3, you want to clear out that zone. So use Jamison to pull the corner. His speed, he's going to clear out that side of the zone. Now it's all the underneath guys. So you use St. Brown. Play fake to him, so you get them to dive. Notice this. You pull Jonah Jackson. Two things. One, he becomes like a personal protector from Goff, because Goff can keep rolling, and Jonah Jackson can settle in and pass protect for him. That way there's not a free rush that he has to rush to play. Second thing, you pull an offensive offensive lineman, now you sell the run fake. You could try to get those eyes to key on the run fake, and you're like, oh, he's pulling a lineman. Let me dive down that way. So everything is saying go right. Tied along with Goff is rolling right. He's looking right. Everything is saying this ball's going right on the play. Then you do this. What you basically do is you isolate one guy who has the outside underneath zone on two. Because everything's going right, your hook curl linebacker is starting to flow that way. So you isolate this guy. You isolate the slot McMillian. How do you do it? With St. Brown. St. Brown releases into his wheel route. If he does not carry this thing vertically because it's already been cleared out, it's a touchdown to St. Brown. He does. But what does that do? It leads to Sam Laporta being wide open on this play with a chip, right? Not immediately releasing, but chipping and then rolling his drag route. And Goff rolling, settling back and giving him just enough time. You see how Laporta hasn't looked yet? Giving him time to find the football. When Laporta looks, now Goff throws the football, he's wide open, and then it's what does Laporta do with the ball in his hands? We know what he's capable of. Score a touchdown. Another thing that Aaron Glenn did a lot in this game was the double cornerback blitz. Sometimes it works, sometimes it didn't, but we've seen this in the past. Early downs, again, bringing pressure. Lions are going into a cover 2 look. They're just going to blitz both their cornerbacks, and this one had a chance. Like, this one legitimately could have been one of those shot plays, those chunk plays that they like to set up, but you're not giving them a chance. You're just forcing everything. You're forcing a guy that, coming into this game, 2.7 seconds, never time to throw or pressure this season, one of the slowest times in the league. Speed everything up for him by bringing a double cornerback blitz. Once you do that, now you can see that you drop on coverage. The shot's there. His windup takes too long. He's feeling the pressure. Pass is incomplete. You take it away. Now you're in a second 10. Now you limit that run game. All of a sudden, you got exactly where you want to be defensively. Now, offensively, this is just Jared Goff and Josh Reynolds. This is the ultimate connection that we know and love. Also, he's doing this on Pat Surtain, so I want to give Josh Reynolds some love here because he beats him right off the line of scrimmage, makes an excellent grab. Talk about tracking the football. This is beautiful. It's also a great read because this is something that's not new to Lions. It's not like it's a new look we're showing. We've done this tons of times. We do the same exact setup. We run a screen one direction, other direction we go one-on-one. That's a single high safety, right? So if you got the numbers to the screen, you throw the screen. If not, you throw the one-on-one. You trust Josh to go with it, match him if you trust him to. Lions did what he do. Just like against Carolina, beat him off the line of scrimmage. Here they bring the blitz from the linebacker position instead of rolling that direction. So immediately Goff says, okay, free rusher. I got to get this ball to my hands. Zach Allen is on my neck. So he just puts it up immediately. And Josh Reynolds does what Josh Reynolds does, wins one-on-one. Figuring out what Jameson's very comfortable with. I don't think every route's great for him. I don't think he's great on comeback routes specifically. But I do love him on the speed outs. And that speed is threatening here. Man, it's so threatening, man, because you got to immediately get depth. I love him on speed outs. The same thing that we did in preseason. So notice you're on the right hash. So you now have a lot of room for a guy like Jameson Williams to get this route and make this thing work. Defensively, look at what they're in. They're in quarters coverage, meaning that everybody's got to drop back. They only have 3 underneath defenders. So how do you take those guys out of the play? You hit the numbers. Well, what do? You essentially isolate a matchup with the outside corner. But because of his speed, corner's got to open. Watch him here. Watch him. You see how he opens up in a half turn? He's got to get open because Jameson just launches off the line. He's like, oh, snap, better open on this play. But this is where Jamo is really good in the preseason too. Boom. Flies into his speed out route. Goff has tons of time here. Puts it on him. By the way, timing. Pretty good there. And then, oh my goodness, he made a move that I still don't know how he pulled off. I don't know how he shook the dude within this much room. He literally had this much room and he shook my guy one-on-one. That's literally the definition of making a man miss in a phone booth. Defensively, this is one thing that we know and love. And by the way, as good as this play design was for a touchdown, Sean McVay literally did the same thing against us and it worked. So I don't love that, but he kind of did the exact same thing to us. But what I do like is this. Again, defensively, you're going into kind of a cover 1 here, so you can see doing something similar that we've seen. This guy breaks inside, so the slot drops out to give outside leverage help. That way you don't have a leverage here from the corner route, so they drop out here, which means the linebacker is going to pass this off to the safety once it pushes vertical, which means that you have an isolated one-on-one in the backside here with Jahmyr Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown once they bring 5 rushers onto this play. And the Lions, very subtle, but they do it with 2 veterans. Well, 1 veteran. They have St. Brown release inside on the play. Quarterback sticks with him, which forces a switch towards the outside with Jahmyr Gibbs, so now he can spread out. As soon as they get that switch, now he starts to roll back outside through his stem to create a natural pick here for Jahmyr Gibbs. Then he breaks back inside. He's got no help towards the inside, and he just walks into the end zone. I couldn't help but ask myself when I'm watching this game, how in the world are you getting guys wide open inside the 10? It's not supposed to work that way, but you have multiple touchdowns where guys are literally wide open. Ben Johnson, we see you. Also, with Jamison Williams breaking down underneath, it does hold this off-ball linebacker for a tick, and because that, you, again, help open that window for him to walk into the end zone, a little angle route. But, hey, and also, angle routes. We was asking for that, Ben. Like, where's some more complex routes? Also, the way that Jahmyr Gibbs ran this route wasn't just a strict angle route. He kind of rounded this thing up. You see how he pushes vertical, then he breaks it outside. He runs that thing into the pick, basically, by St. Brown. So, well done. Back to the defense side of the ball, and this is where we talk about kind of that flexibility in the back end, right? So when you're talking about playing a 3-safety look, of course, this comes back to stopping the run to get them into a 3rd and 10 spot, but it's also that trust that you have defensively to ask guys like Brian Branch to roll into a safety look, and he's done this all year for us. If anything, we've kind of taken steps away from him, but his ability to play safety and slot, we're going to go heavier defensive personnel, we just put him at safety. He's been able to add everything to the table for us, which is awesome for a rookie, but at the same time, if he's out there as well, and this blitzing element has been real, and I think another part of that too is length. Like if he gets in your face as a quarterback and he jumps up, it's going to be hard to get that pass off. But anyways, here you get this look from the defense where they're actually going to roll into what looks like kind of a cover 6, maybe more of a cover 2 blitz look. They're going to bring Iffy on the blitz. They're going to roll over Kerby Joseph and Brian Branch. But the key happens here at the top of the screen. It's Kendall Vilder as well as Brian Branch holding this down, taking away the high and the low on this play in zone coverage. They didn't even need communication to do it. They just both did their job, and that was the key here. What stands out to me is this. They're going to bring Jalen Reeves-Maybin, and they're going to drop out Aiden Hutchinson. So again, you talk about that flexibility, the trust that they have of these edge defenders to drop into underneath zone. And honestly, Hutch looks pretty good in coverage here, I'm going to be honest. But the key is this. The running back does not stand in the pass protect. Now, I don't know if he's just reading that, hey man, 5 rushers, we can pick that up. Our offensive line can pick that up. But where you're bringing Iffy from on the play, no one in pass protection is setting up in a position to pick this guy up. So when the running back lets him go, nobody on the offensive line is anticipating to pick up a safety from that kind of lineman. It's different with a linebacker. All of a sudden, here comes the safety. And to tie that along, all the attention goes to this guy. Because now the attention that they're really focused on, like, man, we got it, we picked it up, is Jalen Reeves-Maybin. You're not expecting Jalen Reeves-Maybin to rush. He rushes. So now all the attention is we got to pick up Jalen. Then they drop out. So it's still not technically a blitz until Iffy gets involved. No one now is focused on Iffy. It's so delayed. The running back leaves because it's a 5-man rush, I guess. And all of a sudden, he's forced to roll away. Because I'm looking at this backside and saying, well, you know, they kind of gave up the underneath route here. Cam Sutton didn't dive and let the safety take over top. Again, could have been more of a cover 6 look, but if it's cover 2, this was potentially open on this play. But you see here with the running back leaking out, Alex says, forget about that. I'm going to dive underneath, take that away, because he's forced to roll away with Iffy on a free rush. So now everybody kind of shifts their coverage, and it's right here on top. It's Kendall Vilder diving down, saying, I'm taking away that underneath route. And then it's Brian Branch being able to play like a safety here, find the receiver, open up, and then dive down at the throw and make a play on the football, out of bounds on the play. Great defense. Then back on the offense side of the ball, this is what I expect of the Lions. This is what they're capable of, and it's honestly something we talked about in the preview. Middle field routes where you just break off your route and you sit down. You sit down over the middle of the field because they're going to pass off these routes. It's what we talked about coming in. It's exactly what happens here. You go to a 3-by-1 look, so you kind of get these one-on-ones isolated. So the cornerback's going to match up here with Sam Laporta. Instead of passing this off, he's just going to stick with Sam Laporta. Well, he runs a shallow cross. However, on the backside, you are getting zone coverage. So you're dropping out your edge, Browning. He's got to take the running back. So now you have 2 underneath defenders, but what you're also getting is the cornerback is matching up on this single receiver side with Sam Laporta. So now when the linebacker sees the shallow cross and he passes it off to dive down, he's passing it to nobody. He's passing it to nobody. So it's just that design. Shallow cross, go right underneath it. And then again, as soon as St. Brown passes the coverage, doesn't run through, sits down, opens up a spot. Also the pass pro, man. I mean, I just got to point it out when we see it. Look at the pass. Look at Penei Sewell, man. Boom. Get him on the ground. There's a win. There's a little bit of heat there from the left guard, but Penei Sewell was, hey, he was balling. There's a couple things that I loved about this when I pointed this play out a little bit earlier. Here again, you get another quarters look here defensively. But the key to me is this. This is the real key here. It's David Montgomery. I had some heat, man. I had some heat last week for Ben Johnson in terms of the picking up the blitz, saying, hey, man, just leave a running back in the block. If they're not going to run more complex routes, leave him in the block. Well, what have we already seen? We were seeing basically an angle route for a touchdown for Jahmyr Gibbs. Okay, a little more complex. And also this, David Montgomery. Watch how he delays himself from releasing. Instead of releasing immediately, he steps in for pass pro. Then when he sees the offensive line has it, this 4-man rush, they got it, then he releases. That little tweak, it wasn't every play, but that little tweak was massive for me in this one. It made me feel so good about the little tweak that they made to adjust for this team. And that's the reason. That's the reason. As rough as it looked against Chicago, I sat back and said, man, over the last 2 years, we've seen this offense handle the blitz. They've been successful against the blitz. It's pressure. Pressure is different than blitz, but we've been really good against the blitz. We've watched the All-22 every week, and I've seen that. I trust that it's going to be there. What do you know? It's there. If anything, it's a problem. Why? Because you lose underneath defenders. Now, here, they're not blitzing, but it's 3 underneath defenders, and again, this is where I expect Goff to win because it's what he's done. It's what he's shown us. Watch Goff here. Watch his eyes. Starts middle of the field, sees them drop out, going into quarters. Okay, I got a 2-deep look, so I'm going to look middle of the field. Where are eyes? I'm looking right. There's no receiver there. All I'm trying to do is get Baron Browning to sit right. That way St. Brown can break right behind him. Watch this. Looking right. As soon as he shifts, all right, middle field, got him wide open. Things working in play here, but this was really beautiful across the field here. I love this. You also have David Montgomery. You see him kind of swing out of the backfield. It's delayed, but when David Montgomery swings out, all of a sudden, you have Singleton who dives down on that. You open up the middle of the field. Easy completion for St. Brown and a huge chunk on that play. Here we gave up a completion. We actually gave up the first down. I think it was the 3rd and 4. Lions went man-to-man coverage here in the red zone. The key is this, though. First off, they're a tad late here on the switch. You can see the switch between the 2 tight ends. So Khalil Dorsey now has switch and plant and drive on this, and he gets to hit before the first down, but he's a little bit undersized, so he ends up giving it the first down here. But I did notice this little wrinkle, which I thought was interesting. While I'll get on, the fact that, man, I'm like, man, put safety help over. If you have your number 2 corner on the number 1 receiver, we got to put safety up on 3rd down. Well, that's not exactly what this was, but they put Courtland Sutton in the slot, and instead of like saying, okay, we're going to put a linebacker one-on-one and put a safety over top, Lions just put both of their linebackers on him and bracket him in. They essentially just take him out of the play. They're like, no, you're going somewhere else with the football. And they did, and it worked, but they said, no, he's not beating us. Ben Johnson being Ben Johnson.
Now, this play really starts right here with the first motion. They use 2 motions. Notice the motion across with Sam Laporta, the safety rolls down. So if you see across the board, it looks like they're matched up. St. Brown on Pat Surtain, they're matched up across the board. They have the matchups that they want. With that motion across, Lions get the indicator. Safety's rolling down to play the tight end. They're made up across the board. They're going single high probably on the play, so they're probably going cover 1. Then when the Detroit Lions utilized a fast motion with St. Brown, instead of being able to like shift their defense, say cornerback slide, linebacker slide over, take the slot, put a safety over top. Instead of doing all of that, it's a fast motion. You don't have time to settle in. So with that jet motion, what it forces the defense to do is immediately make the switch. So instead of putting the safety on the tight end, which is the matchup they want, now they say lock, roll down, I'll go middle field safety. Now all of a sudden we put our best receiver on your safety. And now we just basically took your best corner and said, hey, now you're matched up on a tight end. But guess what? That tight end, he's not going to run it all off because they're blitzing and maybe doesn't do the same effect. But Khalif Raymond is going to run a beneath route, which McMillian has to fly through and cover up. But they also don't have an underneath zone defender because the running back is going to swing out to the left. So they use Khalif to go behind the line of scrimmage towards the right, then break back towards the middle of the field. Now there's no help on the play, and you have Khalif running full speed away from the defender.
Everybody's manned up. They want to go cover 1, so when you bring the motion across right here, he passes the tackle, safety dives down, Justin Simmons is going to roll middle of the field. Now he becomes a zone player because you stay in the block right here, so he just drops out and essentially does nothing on the play.
Now, also, the timing is crazy on this play. So watch Khalif Raymond. Instead of just immediately releasing on the beneath and breaking middle of the field, he kind of sells himself down to sell a split block on the play. So when he sells the split block, the cornerback starts to kind of stand up like, oh, he's not coming out. He's just going to sit in the block. Then he releases. So it not only lines up the timing where if Goff hits his back foot and the dig's not there, then he can go middle of the field. At the same time, he creates a lot of space between him and McMillian. Plus, utilize the tight end to stand in a block. So while the offensive line does the zone play fake, you don't get a free rusher off the edge because the tight end, who would normally be covered up, now Pat Surtain's doing nothing. You also just leave the tight end to block, so Goff doesn't have a free rusher to deal with. Crazy.
One of the best plays from Iffy in this game was this. Lions go to quarters coverage. Now, quarters coverage is great. We talked about this coming in. I was like, hey, Houston ran a lot of quarters coverage to take away the shots. You can do that. Let them live underneath. The issue with quarters is this. You can essentially get one-on-one down the field if you run verticals.
Quarters coverage, one thing you can't do is get stacked. And Cam Sutton actually, I think, does a really nice job here of having a tight end that releases outside, yet he doesn't get super shallow, right? You kind of give up outside the numbers when you're in this type of coverage. It's difficult to cover everything. But at the same time, he does do a nice job of staying in a pretty good spot with depth, where if he got really shallow on this play, then that could be a situation where if he has to help over top, otherwise he's just going to get beat when he leaves the route. However, he does a nice job of keeping good depth. You could say he left a tad late here to flip and go find the ball, but as soon as that thing officially broke outside and he was able to comfortably pass it to Sutton, that's when he found the football.
Sees Cam Sutton pick it up. Now all of a sudden he's like, all right, I got you. I'm going to flip around and go find the football. Finds the football. Look at the tracking here and then the timing. Bam, right at the catch point. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. You could argue like, oh man, it's a little bit late on the play. But the only way this is late is if Russell Wilson plans and just fires this thing right here. He's got to fire a missile, but instead he lofts it, thinking that, man, oh, they got confused defensively. No, they did not get confused defensively if he was just protecting over top on this play. Could have been a tick faster maybe to flip back open, but he stays on top of it, and it's really just about his ability to find the football, which was so impressive here, and time that up without getting called for PI, because we saw one last week just like that from a cornerback position that called for a PI. Run defense. Simple as that. Take away their bread and butter. Stop the run. Even with two deep safeties right here. Two deep safeties. Now they're a little bit more of the aggressive depth. Two deep safeties, you shut down the run. Isaiah Buggs, John Kaminsky, circle him. Watch him here on the backside left tackle. Garrett Bowles, look at this. Boom, walk him back. Isaiah Buggs on the front side. He was great there last week. He brought it back. Here against their best run blocker, Quinn Meinerz. Fast hands, boom, stack, shed, I'm here. That's what we saw from Isaiah Buggs. When Buggs was his best, it was fast wins, it was fast hands. Watch him here. Boom. Fast hands. In a position, shed, I'm waiting for you. That's your best run blocker. I got him on that one. This is where, again, I'm loving me some Jameson Williams, man, in this game. We saw the play where he maybe mistracked it a little bit. He didn't mistract this one. Watch this. So they're going man defensively. Lions are going to do kind of this design roll on the play with the play fake. Now watch this. So Goff starts left. Now you're going to see a little bit of a win here on Sam Laporta. Here comes the pressure. Goff feels that, starts to roll away. Now here's what I love, and I know this is expected, right? This is expected that in man coverage, Jameson does not sit down on his route, keep running through his route, but I still love it. And he's not running at full speed either. You notice on the play, he's not sprinting through this crossing route like, man, I got to stay in front of this guy. He's still slowing at a pace where he's making himself a visible target to Goff while also not sitting down, allowing the corner to get back into this play. And that allows Goff to be able to see it, watch it cross his face, and then roll with it. Because as he looks back right and he starts to move, here he could have thrown it, but he feels the pressure, wants to get in a spot where he feels good about it, leaves it up there, and then Jameson makes a ridiculous catch. This is the kind of catch that we didn't see early in the year. High point, through contact. The guy hurt himself on the play and he still came down with it. I just threw this in for fun. Seeing Dan Skipper, what he was doing. All right, first off, the movement's beautiful. The move is beautiful. They were too light in the box too many times. I thought linebacker position, we hit traps, we hit whams. They were light in the box with their linebacker play. They shouldn't have done that. Too many two deep safety looks. Maybe that's because we're throwing it earlier. And also the play action sets. Like, they kept playing two deep safety. We kept gashing them. But Dan Skipper here, like, this is the Lions. First off, Dave Montgomery making the safety miss in space. But look at Skipper here, man. I mean, he's finished in this play. Now, you know, he gave him a little flop. He gave a little flop there at the end. I ain't gonna lie. But I thought that was funny, so I just want to show that clip. Again, when you start to trust your guys like this, Aiden Hutchinson dropping into coverage, there's a lot of aspects where we didn't even bring him in coverage. You know, it's like, hey, we're not coming into this game saying that we're going to win the one-on-ones over and over. So why keep banging our head into a wall? Instead, our strategy is not going to be win your one-on-ones. It's going to be a strategy of, and we did, Bruce Irvin had some wins, Hutchinson had some wins, but the strategy almost more so felt like when we get them into passing downs, we're going to work to get free rushers with the linebackers. And that felt like the little bit of a twist from what we've seen a lot this year. And that felt very game plan specific, just like a play like this. So you bring Alex, you drop out Hutch, like we've seen a lot of the game. We saw with the safety. Now all of a sudden you get Alex on a running back. And this is crucial because this deep crosser is going to be open. It's going to be open because if he is an underneath defender, and he's not going to have the depth to take this thing away. And now you can see he doesn't find the route. So maybe if he has a chance to get into this, but this has a chance to be open. So if Alex doesn't, boom, beat the running back and then get after it, this thing may have a shot. Alex chases him down. If he would have tackled him 2 yards shorter, my prop bet would have hit, man. I mean, he just needed a sack. It just did not happen on the play. How about Alex again here? Same strategy, right? Drop out Bruce Irvin. This time we're going to bring Hutch, and then we're going to bring Alex Anzalone. They're going to open up. We're going to one-on-one with the running back, finds the football, bats it down. Just as good as a sack, essentially. I mean, maybe not just as good, but it works the same. 0 yards on the play. We'll take that. This will be the one aspect that I didn't love from Goff specifically. We showed a couple of other plays, but here I thought he needed to step on the pocket. On PJ Locke, they bring a blitz with their front five here, and now there's pressure. Like, it'd been difficult to step up with Jahmyr Gibbs giving up a little bit of pressure here, but right here I'm like, yo, step up in the pocket. I understand what he's waiting for, and it opens up. He wants St. Brown here on the slot McMillian, knowing it's man coverage. They utilized a short motion to create leverage. I understand why he's looking where he's looking, right? Here's the short motion. Let's create leverage so he can break back outside. Now, the issue is that on the first 2 downs, when you're not positive and you get yourself into a 3rd and long, now you're in a spot like this where you have to wait because you have to wait for that route to hit the depth so you can pick up the first down. Backside, you have a dig here. Now, against single eye safety, you have a chance. It's pretty good coverage, it seems like, from Pat Surtain. He could have had a chance if he would have stepped up in the pocket. So I understood what he was floating back for and waiting for. Gets into the back of his drop right here, and he kind of fades right, waiting to kind of throw this thing a little bit. But it just takes a little bit longer, and then you get some of the pressure off the edge here from Cooper. And I think if you would have just stepped up right now, it would have been difficult. It would have been difficult. But I just, being a critique here, I think if he plants and then steps up right now on the play, he just feels that, all of a sudden maybe you give yourself a chance to try to hit this dig route. It would have been a tough spot. I understand why he's waiting for saying it would open. There's no guarantee that Josh even opens or has time, but I still would have liked to see him step up in that pocket there. I thought he was pretty good with pocket movement. He made some big plays because of that, but that was one of those where I thought, like, okay, step up in the pocket, give us a little bit of a better chance there. And like I said, if he wasn't perfect, here he is with Jerry Jeudy. It seems like they went to a cover 3 look. They got him one-on-one in the slot, and he's beat on the play, right? He still wasn't perfect in coverage, but I think what's shown up for him is he's decisive, his ability to play the run, and he has excellent ball skills at the catch point, man. That is what has been huge for this defense. But an incredibly impressive win from the Lions, man. They did a lot of things right in this one. Give credit to the coordinators. You always know Ben Johnson's going to hold it down. As much as people want to like, oh, Ben Johnson ain't that dude. Ben Johnson's that dude, trust me, all right? But at the same time, Aaron Glenn, he's going to get a lot of props this week because of what they did statistically. I thought they did well last week. I thought they were improving. And I think this week, again, more things came together. Give him a lot of credit for that game plan, right? Not trying to just bang his head into a wall. He said, look, man, we're going to bring linebackers. We're going to get very flexible in the back end. But first off, we got to stop the run. And he did that. They handled a lot. They didn't give up a shot play. They didn't let the run game going. The two things that they're built on didn't let happen. To me, you got to give a lot of credit to Glenn and also the players. Without a Lee McNeil to stop the run against a team that can really run well and has a very good offensive line, you give credit to the players for just showing up and showing out. It's a dominant win. It's a good win. We did a lot of things right. Wasn't perfect. Got to get going earlier. Got to score earlier. Can't kind of leave those things out there. This game, we could have scored 60 points, right? You get this going a little bit earlier, score 60 points in a game like this. Still a fantastic win, though, and now we've given ourselves an opportunity. Win at Minnesota, win the division with 2 weeks to go. Let me know your thoughts, comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'm out.